Hi, and welcome to Disability Talk with Marianne. I am your host, Marianne Mahoney. I am a 25-year-old woman from the Boston area who was born with spina bifida. On this podcast, I interview people from the disability community to understand the issues that matter to people who live with a disability, care for people with disabilities, or work to support the needs of the community. On today's episode, I interview Howie Monahan, a staff member at Beaverbrook STEP in Belmont, Massachusetts. Thank you for being on that podcast.
Of course.
So just to start off, could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Howie, and I use he, him, his pronouns. I work at Beaverbrook, the day program, support adults with disabilities. I'm 24, and I also play music. That's the short of it, I'd say.
Excellent, thank you. So my next question is, how long have you worked at Beaverbrook?
I'm almost got my year now. I started in May last year.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. How long have you been working at Beaverbrook, Marianne?
So I was there since I was 22, about 3 years, but this May it'll be 4 years.
Nice.
Yes. Why do you like working there?
Every day is different, and every person I work with is different. And it's just really nice to be in such an accepting work environment that just appreciates that everybody has their own skills and their own interests and gifts. And I don't know, I just have a lot of fun at work. Sometimes it doesn't even feel like work. Like Zumba does not feel like work. That's just a dance party.
Yeah. You join the groups and you feel like, wow, this is so awesome.
Yeah, you're just like hanging out with nice people.
Yeah. Thank you for that. How well do you work with your colleagues? And can you give me an example of how you work well or not so well with them?
Work very well with my colleagues. I'd say I think, really support each other as a team. And I feel like if I'm having a rough day or I just have a situation that I'm having trouble with, I feel like there's always someone that I can ask for help, or I can just honestly talk about it and they'll listen to me and help me come up with a solution or, yeah, even just talk about it. So it's probably the most supportive workplace I've been in.
I feel like once you start becoming friendly with your colleagues, I feel like that's a big part of having a job, because I feel like you start to build a relationship with them and you see them every day.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. And people you work with.
Yeah. And it's really nice when you can oh sweet, I get to go see Brad today. That plays a huge role in the work field. I've had internships where I've created such strong relationships with my colleagues, and I still email them from time to time. What is your favorite part about working there?
How much fun we have. Yeah, we have listen to a lot of music and make a lot of crafts and just makes the place feel like a community. That's definitely my favorite part about it.
Yeah. I think that it's, again, really nice when you can really sit down with the individuals and your other colleagues in that group and able to have a conversation with them and being like, oh, hey, how was your day? How is your mom doing? How is your dad doing? I know you told me that you have a dog. How is he or she doing? Your colleagues and the individuals pretty well. And again, that's a huge role in working in this type of field that you're working in now. If you had to change one thing about your job, what would it be and why?
My commute to work, I would change if I could change
Um,
anything.
yeah.
But
Where do you come from?
I'm living in Malden, so it's about 30 to 40 minutes, but I have to drive past a lot of schools, so
Mm,
a lot of traffic, but
mm,
it's alright.
yeah. Rush hour traffic, I can tell you, is not so fun. Have you worked with people with disabilities in the past, like before you worked at Beaverbrook? If so, what got you into this field?
I'd say I've been working with people with disabilities for pretty much my whole life. My older brother is disabled, he uses a wheelchair, and he has cerebral palsy, and he uses support, pretty much all day, every day, just as a family member. I grew up spending a lot of time with him and, of course, taking care of him too. And that has just always been a important part of me and who I am. And I just kept thinking about that. And when I graduated college and got into the working world, I studied music therapy in college. And while I was doing that, I spent time working at some other community day programs in Boston. And I was piecing together that I really like working in the adult world. And I also, it always struck me when my brother turned 22. He's 30 now, which is crazy. But when my brother turned 22, there really weren't he graduated school, and there weren't a lot of things for him to do, especially where my parents live. They live in kind of a remote, rural area. It's beautiful out there, but the downside is that it's much farther away from the city. So
Mm,
there just aren't as many services as there are, I'd say, where we live, closer to Boston. And yeah, it was just I there wasn't anything like what we do at Beaverbrook that I could see. So I was always wondering why aren't there more services for people older than 22? Because life keeps going after school and people still need a place to go and people to see in a community to be a part of. So that's what got me into it and why I am where I am. But I graduated about a year-ish ago, a year and a half ago, and I had been doing an internship at a school with children with disabilities and medical needs, and that was a good experience. And then I saw this job, and I've been here almost a year.
are such a perfect fit for
Thank you.
your job and the people who you work with. Whenever you come to options a couple of times a week, you're always in such a bright mood. I don't think I've ever seen you not in a good mood, which is probably a good thing. But I really think that once you like find something that you're really passionate about, I think it's really important to keep the mood uplifting, so to speak. I feel like,
Definitely.
yeah, because I feel like you're happy, other people will be happy, you know? And
Definitely.
I,
It's a I
and especially if you're taking them to like work, it's that's definitely a huge part of it. You don't want them going into work with a grumpy mood and then you don't you know, you don't know if that's gonna affect, like, how long they stay there, so, um,
yeah, that's a
but
really good point.
I really think that, um, a positive attitude is a huge part of it, and you're so amazing at it, and I think you'll keep going with the positive attitude.
Thank you. Thank you.
This next question is a situational question. If you saw that one of your individuals is upset and they have a hard time, like, talking, I think you have some wheelchair users at options E, is that correct?
We do have a couple people that use wheelchairs.
And so if you saw that one of your individuals was upset and they're one of those people who can't get their feelings out with their words, how would you approach that situation? Would you go up to them and be like, oh, hey, let's go into a quiet room and you can tell me what's going on? Or would you tell someone, your boss, and then they'll take care of it?
That's a good question. It definitely depends on the person, of course, as all things do. But I love working with people that have different communication skills and strategies
Hmm.
than me, whether it's through a different language or sign language or just by like their own special way of communicating using facial expressions or gestures and just your affect. So that said, I try to be really mindful of giving people enough time and really being patient and waiting people out in case there is something they want to say. And it might just be taking them a minute. And I definitely try to think about why someone might be upset, and what that's telling me, and what that person is telling me by being upset, what they're communicating. And yeah, if they need a break, and a lot of times we all just need a break, whether it's a bathroom break, a snack break, or just like sitting in a quiet room, I need it too. And I always give that as an option. And then additionally, I'll probably tell my manager later just so that I know we're all on the same page. In case something bigger is going on, I want to make sure I always tell who I need to, just because I want to make sure everyone's safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely really good to remove that person from the situation because I know we have a few people on Main Street that have behavioral issues themselves. And it's honestly, when I first started going there, like it was like really like heartbreaking and like I wanted to know what was going on. And we have who, when he gets really upset, it's he like starts screaming and getting all upset. And it's just, you want to step in as a friend, but you know that like this person's being taken care of. I just need to back off and let them have their moment and let staff do their job and take care of this person.
Even when my staff are dealing with a situation, I always want to be helpful. And so I have to remind myself too that sometimes I might jump to help somebody um, when maybe what that person needs is actually just a moment of space. And so it's weird because it could mean all different kinds of things. Someone needs something or someone needs space.
You never know if the person can be like aggressive towards somebody, hitting people or slamming doors or yelling cuss words at you. I've had that experience in the past where I went to school with somebody who had some pretty severe issues, and when he was angry, he would let it out, and he would start yelling, and that was like, honestly, I would jump every time he would slam a door 'cause it was that loud.
Yeah, it can be jarring and it can be scary when people can get angry like that.
Yeah.
Uh, I know it scares me when I don't like to be yelled at work or at home or on the road in traffic.
Yeah.
It yeah, it's always just feels bad, but I think at work I'm able to take a step back because I can remember that it's not personal. If this person is yelling at me, it's most likely not personally about something about me or something I did. It's about something else, about a different situation. And it can be hard to it's hard to always know that in the moment that I didn't do something wrong. This person's not mad at me, but it helps to remember that it might be something completely different.
It's definitely nice to be able to think in the back of your head, like, okay, is this person mad at me? Or are they mad about a totally separate issue? Do you have any advice for anyone who is going into the field of disability?
Yes, my advice would be that Beaverbrook STEP is hiring at their day programs, and it's a great place to get into the field at an entry level where you can learn a lot. But I would also say just learn as much as you can and remember that every day and person gives you something to learn. And it's really important to pay attention to what people are teaching you to, even if
Mm,
it doesn't always. I just think everybody's a teacher. And if we're gonna work with people, we have to learn about them first and become friends. So that's my advice to people.
mm. I think that's some really good advice. My final question for you is, do you have any questions for me about somebody who has a disability and somebody who is a wheelchair user?
Yeah. I mean, let me think of how to put my question. I guess I'm also interested, what's your favorite thing about your job at Beaverbrook? And if you could change one thing about it, whether that's a big thing or if it's just something that's options A specific.
So when you say what's your favorite thing about your job at Beaverbrook, do you mean working in the thrift store or just going to Beaverbrook as a individual and being part of the programming?
Mm, that's a good question. There are lots of jobs within Beaverbrook. I'd say just overall, um, in the Beaverbrook world, because it's not just work too, it's home.
Exactly. I
Yeah,
definitely,
what's your favorite thing about it?
yeah, I definitely love being social and coming in every day and being greeted by really nice staff. And I sitting at a table with 3 others who I'm really close with, getting to know people who I don't sit with every day. And I think, being in groups with people definitely also my favorite part because you kinda get to know, um more about them. You can have small talk with them. Oh, hey, what are you having for lunch today? Or what did you do last night? Can you tell me about what you're doing this weekend? That kind of thing. So I think that's really important to relationships with everybody that you um see on a day to day basis.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
the socialization is a really fun and good part of every day.
yeah. I wanted to thank you so much for being on my podcast. I between probably work and like your outside work life, you're probably very busy. And so I really appreciate you this time to do the podcast with me.
Of course, I was excited, and I'm so happy you're making this podcast. I think it's really cool, and I hope you keep doing it. I listened to the first episode, and it was great. So I hope I can hear some more interviews. I can't wait to hear Brad's interview too.
I want to say thank you again so much for being on this, and I will see you next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I will see you tomorrow or next week. Absolutely.
Nice. Thank you, Howie. Have a good one.
All right, you too.